Well, my name is Ron Moak, and the van's name is Sora. Sora is Japanese for sky. In sort of van life for about 20 years now, before van life became a van life thing. Well, welcome to the inside of the van. As you can see, it is an open floor plan. No platform bed, no garage, so to speak. I don't need a garage, haven't needed one for some time. I like an open floor plan because it allows me to sit in different places comfortably. I like a big bed. I have a bed that's 80 inches long. It sits 4 people, and it's dual use. My company makes ultralight backpacking gear, so all of our stuff is designed to be multiple use. So, because the more uses you can make out of something, the more valuable it is to you. And so I created this bed. Well, I didn't totally create it. This is custom, but dictated the design on it so that it would be really easy to use. And one of the problems of a bed this way is I'm 6 foot, and that's just right next to the walls on both sides, and I like to be able to stretch out and have my feet all the way out, and so having a long bed helps, and then having one that can convert instantaneously is even better. So this opens and closes faster than you can clean up and straighten your sheets in a regular back bed, and certainly a lot faster than a pull out, and it's very comfortable. It's a 4-inch thick mattress. Yeah, under the bed I have a 20-gallon water tank. On the backside here, is a Webasto, and then this pops down, and so I have storage for water, and then I have backpacker food for hiking, and this comes out with additional storage, 3 drawers of storage in here, so 1, 2, and 3. So lots of quick access to different things for storage. This is I guess the kitchen / utility side of the van. I kind of look at a counter space as the playground of the mind, and I always like to basically be able to lay my stuff out in a big area, sort it out, work on it. And then beneath that is some food storage. This is dry goods, grains, things like that. And then a lot of people have those hammocks. I hate the hammocks because they're kind of ugly, and so I just put my stuff in a nice little hammock drawer that's easy to access, but doesn't disturb my chi. Up at the top is all food. Essentially this is noodles from Asia and other stuff, and I have like 3 different kinds of rice, and I have nori for making sushi, and then things like bread and cereal, more spices. And then up in the front is the where I have our plates. I like to cook, and so I've been doing it for decades, and so cooking requires, your standard utensils, a wok, a couple of different types of pans. I also have an Instant Pot. I have stove, oven, one of those camp ovens, grills, butane stove if I want to cook outside, Instant Pot, things like that. What you don't see on this counter anywhere is a sink, because and a lot of people says, how can you cook without a sink? Well, a sink is for cleaning, it's not for cooking. And what happens with a sink is sink becomes a repository for dirty dishes. And then they just get hard and crusty, and it takes twice as much water to clean them. So I just do something old and simple. This is just vinegar, standard vinegar off the shelf, white vinegar, 5% acid solution, and some paper towels. And that will clean anything very fast, very efficiently, and very hygienically. And here I have a induction stove, which works really good. And that 1 burner, and the propane, butane down below if I need it. So on the end is an 85-liter refrigerator, so bare right now because we're at the end of gutted and I've eaten up most of my food. And then above that I have a little drawer that's all my hydration stuff, which has my coffees, coffee grinder, teas, and various things for keeping it all together in one spot. This is my third van. The first was a 2003 Sprinter van when they first came over from Germany, and kept that till 2012, put 180,000 miles on it, and that was over about 9 years, and that was kind of a training van. It took me a long time to sort of get to know me and get to know the van. And I didn't have a lot of money at that time, and so I spent all the money on buying the van, and then I just put a bed and a cooler and a Home Depot, cabinet in the back, and called it good. Never had solar on it in the 8 or 9 years I had it, and finally I put in a couple of 6-volt batteries, and tied them to the alternator to run a cooler, and called it done. Put a couple of cabinets above, and for me it was good because that was in the days before YouTube and Instagram, and there wasn't a lot of other places to get knowledge and inspiration from, which was better for me because the fact it forced me to learn what was important for me and how to build in those things which I needed, and not worry about those things which other people had put in that they thought they needed, and I saw it and I said, well, they need it, I must need it, and so I'll just copy them. So one of the things you'll notice, major things you'll notice in this van is there's a lot of windows. A lot of people worry about windows because, one, they think it's not stealthy, but the other complaint they have is the thermal. They're worried about the fact that it's going to let heat in or cold in, but proper planning on design can eliminate a lot of that stuff and still give you the benefits of having the view. I have a lot of insulation on these walls. They are 3 inches of wool, and then 1.5 inches of the foam board, and then these blinds, which are they're available at Home Depot. They have to custom order the sizing, but they go down and stay. They're blackout blinds, plus they have 2 layers of vents or baffles in them, one on the inside, one on the outside, and they will keep out the heat and or keep when it's hot outside, or keep out the cold when it's cold outside, and they also act for soundproofing. The other thing that's different about this van is all the artwork on the cabinetry. I have traveled extensively, and when I designed this van, I wanted to basically be able to, have something to reflect on as I get older, and how that goes. So bring back a few memories, but it had to be subtle, So I have a friend who's an artist, and commissioned her to do some wood burnings on places that I've been over the years, so I can look back at those at quiet times at night and reflect on, where I've been and think about where I want to go. So it's very relaxing to have them. So places like Oregon and Spain and Scotland and Arizona, all over, and then even my grandsons and my son. So the heart of any van is going to be your systems. Usually there's 2 major systems. One is the electrical system, and the second one is usually going to be your plumbing system, your water, either fresh water coming in or wastewater, black water, gray water, whatever it is. What I've decided to do is I'm a backpacker by trade. I spend a lot of time. I've hiked 10,000 plus miles over the years, and I know how to live without water, which is why I don't need a sink. So I don't want a complex water system that will break down, especially when it gets cold. And so I concentrate all my effort into the electrical system. And I decided to design my electrical system with one thing in mind, is to not worry about my electrical system. You know, and one of the problems with vans and things is that often you got to really monitor your power usages, because if you don't, what happens is that, you know, you'll wake up and you won't have enough power to do what you need to do, or you can ruin your system. And so this one's built with over 900 watts of solar on the roof, which is admittedly a bit overkill. And then, as I said before, we got the solar controller, which handles the stuff coming in from the roof. It goes into a AC/DC box in here. Half of it's for the AC side, for all the plugs. We've got 120 outlets all over the place, and then we have DC. We have DC outlets, USBs. These are USBs, and then I also made some individual 3.5 millimeter 12 volt, because they're a lot more utilitarian than the standard car plug is. You stick it in, it'll stay in. The car plugs are kind of notoriously crappy. So I have these all over the place too. There's one there, one back in here. And then for the power storage, there's two Tesla modules out of a Model S Tesla, and each one of those supplies 5 kilowatt hours of power, roughly translated into 12 volt world as about 850 amp hours of lithium, and they power a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, which drives all the 110. And so this is a 24 volt system in here, so I can run smaller wires. And then there's a converter which converts the 24 down to 12 volt, which runs everything else in here. And then up here is basically where I keep all my clothes, the extra shoes here, and then these are slide out drawers that hold my regular clothes. I can keep everything in here. And then up here, since I design backpacking gear and travel gear, all that fits up here along with sleeping bags. And fortunately I designed minimal stuff, so it packs down really, really small and just fits right in there. Well, one of the liabilities of being a designer is that you can't stop being a designer. And so when I wanted to come in here and organize all the extra stuff that I have, I decided to make pouches. You know, a lot of people just go and get those little shoe pouches, you know, from the store, like, you know, Walmart or Target or places like that, and I didn't want to suffer that indignity because I'm a designer, you know. And so I just got out my sewing machine is always out when I'm at the office, so I just sat down at the sewing machine and the cutting board and cut out all this stuff and sewed it all up, and I've got stuff up here and stuff up here and bigger things down here to hold all the stuff I need to get to, and on both sides. I have a philosophy that basically if there's anything in your van that takes you more than 5 minutes to dig out, you're not going to use it, you know. And so making everything easily accessible makes it easily usable. You know, even something just as simple as a ladder. Often the ladder's tucked back underneath in the garage, you know, with 10 things on top of it, including 2 heavy boxes and probably all your tools. But here, it's right there. You know, I can reach in the back, pull it out, get up, clean out my solar panels, do whatever I need to do, you know, slide it back in, lock it up, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's good to go. Well, I bought the first van not because I wanted to get into van life. I bought the first van because of the fact that I had a business and I was traveling back east and a couple of times a year to different hiker events. You know, one down in Damascus on the AT, and then another one with a bunch of long distance hiker in the fall, and so driving across country, you know, twice a year, and then, you know, and none of those events were any place close to airports, you know, and I didn't want to spend the money on the flight, and I didn't have anything else to do. I was just starting the company. I had more time than money and brains, you know, so I just bought a van, slapped some stuff in it, and I could drive back. It would take me, you know, they're very comfortable vans to drive, and I can, because I can drive, you know, 18 hours a day, I could get across country in 2.5 days. And so it didn't take long to get there, and I had a place to sleep, and so I did that for years, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then eventually I just said, hey, you know, I like it. I'll just live in the damn thing, you know. My business is called 6 Moon Designs. So, and we have a YouTube, we have Instagram, obviously website, 6moondesigns.com, and we do ultralight backpacking gear, tents, backpacks, tarps, a lot of umbrellas. We sell tons of umbrellas. We're also on Amazon under 6 Moon Designs, and we sell travel stuff, pack pods, all kinds of stuff for different kind of traveling, because I do a lot of travel worldwide, so I design stuff for when I travel. Well, obviously with van life, depending on what you're doing, you're going to spend either a lot of time up here or a little bit of time up here. In my case, my plan is to drive around the world, first down to the tip of South America starting in November, and then over to Europe and around Europe and Scandinavia and Northern Africa, and then eventually through the rest of it all the way over to through China. So about a 3-year plan of travel, and so obviously a lot of it's going to be spent up in the front of the van, which is, you know, which I like to, because I love to drive, and it just kind of like my I don't know, driving is like a drug to me. It just calms me down. It soothes me. You know, I can just mellow. I can just watch the world go by. Which is, when I first bought a van, the first thing I realized was that I'm in a mobile TV. You know, because the Sprinter vans and these vans are higher than cars, and that was before there was a crap ton of vans out there. So you either got behind an 18-wheeler or you got behind some of these lowriders, and you could just see the world, you know. So anyway, the cockpit is very important to me. I carry a minimum of 3 GPS systems in the van, because they don't always agree with each other, and I've had that happen in many cases. So I have one I replaced the crappy GPS that was in the system with a different head unit, and so the one on the phone, and then this is Apple or Android Play, Apple Play compatible, so the phone actually drives 2 GPS systems simultaneously. And then what's unique on this, which you probably haven't seen on a ProMaster, is the ability to put a tablet up here. So up here I run Gaia. So up here is probably, you know, one of the more critical places for me. I spend, you know, I want to make it comfortable and enjoyable. So I worked hard at trying to get it that way, because I spend, you know, sometimes as much as 12 hours a day, you know, in the front, you know, just cruising along. So one of the first things I did was I put Linux on the bottom third of the van. It serves a couple of purposes. Linux is basically bed liner, which is, you know, if you buy a pickup truck and you don't want to chip up the back of your paint in your bed by throwing, you know, tools back there, or, you know, concrete block or rocks or whatever, you coat it with bed liner. It's high resin plastic stuff, and it's very durable, and when you drive through sagebrushes or you know, if you go through those trees that are kind of crowded in on you, it'll just brush them off and not leave dents or scratches in your van. The second thing I did almost immediately when I bought the van was I replaced the stock tires, which are street tires, with Goodrich TKO tires. I've had this on 2 of my previous vans, so I've got probably between them all over 150,000 miles on these kind of tires, and I just know that they perform perfectly out here in the middle of nowhere. The other thing I did on this van is I take it on a lot of essentially 4-wheel drive roads, actually really 4-wheel drive roads, is I had it lifted. So this van is 3 inches higher than the stock. The stock van, and that just gives it more clearance so you don't bang up the sides. And I replaced the suspension system underneath here. These are the struts. I replaced the struts in the front and then the shocks in the back with heavy duty so that they'll take the pounding. And then the final thing I did on this one up front is I put a skid plate on the bottom. So in the event that there's a rock that I don't happen to see, like in the middle of this road where the dust is coming through or something like that, if it hits the skid plate, it protects my alternator and all the valuables up in front. But that's basically to ruggedize the van to make it more durable for backcountry. My only advice to people if you're getting into this is to go slow and cheap as you can, especially if you're going to build it yourself. If you're going to buy a van from somebody else all outfitted, just do that, you resell it. But if you're going to build your own van, do it as simple and as cheap as you can. Learn it. Learn yourself. Find it, because what happens with a lot of people is they duplicate somebody else's van. They'll spend a lot of money duplicating somebody else's van. They'll move into their van 4 months, 5 months, 6 months down the line. They said, it doesn't fit me. And then they start ripping it out and rebuilding it, So avoid that nightmare. Just sleep on a cot if you have to. Put in a cooler, get a jackery for your electrical system or something simple, and just go out there and experience it, and then absorb it and figure out where you want to travel. And the van will then dictate to you what you need. And once you've gotten that, then you have a sense for what you want to build. Then you can either do it yourself or you can go talk to somebody else and have them, build out some of it. You could build out some of it. But either way, at least then you're building it from knowledge, not based on copying somebody else. Thank you much, and I hope you enjoy yourself out here if you get out here, and, find some place a little less dusty. See you at the Gutted next year.